Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Daddy, why are you wearing Mommy's clothes? Jamie blurted out, his big brown eyes curious as he stood in the bedroom doorway. I froze, one hand holding a silk blouse, the other gripping a pair of black heels. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to face my son. Well, sweetheart, I began, forcing a smile. Sometimes Daddy likes to try something different. You know how Mommy borrows your t-shirts sometimes? It's a bit like that. Jamie's brow furrowed. But Daddy, those are girl clothes. Boys don't wear dresses. I knelt down, setting the blouse and shoes aside, and took his small hands in mine. That's true, bud. Most boys don't. But sometimes people like to dress up and be someone else for a while. It's like playing make-believe. Oh, Jamie considered this, twisting the hem of his shirt between his fingers. Are you playing make-believe, Daddy? Something like that, I replied, my smile feeling a little strained. It's hard to explain, kiddo, but it makes Daddy happy, and that's what matters, right? I guess so. Jamie still looked perplexed, but he seemed satisfied with my answer for now. Can we still play catch after school? You promised. Of course, buddy. I tousled his hair. Let's go get you ready for school. Pancakes or cereal this morning? Pancakes! Jamie ran off toward the kitchen, his earlier curiosity seemingly forgotten. I sighed, rising to my feet and smoothing down my jeans, for now my usual attire. Dresses and skirts would have to wait until after he went to bed. I knew this day would come. I just hadn't expected it so soon. Explaining my cross-dressing to a curious child was not how I'd envisioned spending my Saturday mornings. That evening, after Jamie was tucked snugly into bed, I ventured back into my bedroom. The moon cast a soft, silvery light through the window, illuminating the familiar space. I locked the door, a precautionary habit more than anything, and opened my closet. My heart quickened as I ran my fingers over the fabrics, silks, satins, laces, a hidden treasure trove of femininity. With careful deliberation, I selected a knee-length black skirt and a soft pink blouse. My hands shook slightly as I changed, smoothing the skirt over my hips and buttoning the blouse, the fabric caressing my skin. I stepped into a pair of low heels, the click of the buckles oddly satisfying. Turning to the mirror, I applied a subtle touch of makeup, enough to enhance, not transform. I took a deep breath, gazing at my reflection. The person staring back was a fusion of the man I'd presented to the world and the woman I felt inside. I studied my appearance, reveling in the contrast of strength and softness the androgynous look created. A soft knock on the door startled me. You in there? It was my wife, Emily. My heart hammered as I hurried to the door, my hands automatically reaching to untuck my blouse, hoping to conceal the outfit. Yeah, Em, just coming? She stood in the hallway, a glass of wine in her hand. Her brow furrowed as she took in my appearance. Everything okay? You've been in there a while. I forced a casual smile. Yeah, fine, just, needed some me time. Work's been crazy. She stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. You're wearing my blouse. I felt my smile falter. Oh, yeah. Hope you don't mind. It was just there and... Emily cut me off, her eyes softening. It looks nice on you. I could feel my cheeks burning. Thanks. Listen, Em, She placed a finger to my lips, silencing me. It's okay, babe, I get it. We all need our little secrets, don't we? With a wink, she turned and headed downstairs, leaving me standing there, my heart racing. The next morning, Emily and I sat at the kitchen island, sipping coffee and reading the paper. Jamie was building a Lego fortress at our feet, his small hands working diligently. Hey, Em, I began, setting down the newspaper. About last night. Don't worry about it, she interrupted, taking a sip of her coffee. Your secret's safe with me. I exhaled, feeling a rush of relief. Thanks. It's sort of a private thing, I don't really talk about it with anyone. Emily smiled, reaching across the island to squeeze my hand. I get it, and I won't push, but if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Thanks, I muttered, feeling touched by her understanding. Jamie looked up from his Lego creation. Mom, can we get ice cream after school today? Please, 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 Emily laughed. We'll see, bud. It's a little cold for ice cream, don't you think? Never too cold for ice cream, he declared, his brown eyes pleading. I chuckled, reaching down to ruffle his hair. Let's finish our breakfast. Okay, champ? Okay, Dad. He returned to his Legos, his attention already shifting to the next tower. I turned back to Emily, ready to continue our conversation, but she was already flipping through the newspaper, her attention seemingly elsewhere. That night, after Jamie was safely tucked in bed, I found myself drawn once more to my hidden wardrobe. I ran my fingers over the fabrics, my heart pounding with anticipation. With careful consideration, I selected a simple pair of jeans and a soft feminine sweater. I wanted to feel pretty, but not too bold, a subtle expression of my true self. As I changed the soft fabric of the sweater brushing my skin, I felt a sense of tranquility wash over me. It was as if the clothing acted as a key, unlocking a part of myself I'd kept hidden for so long. I gazed at my reflection, turning this way and that, noticing the subtle curves the outfit created. A soft knock interrupted my reverie, and I quickly untucked the sweater, hoping to conceal the outfit. Yeah? The door creaked open to reveal Emily, a curious expression on her face. Mind if I join you? My heart raced as I stepped aside, my mind racing. Sure, come on in. She took a seat on the edge of the bed, her eyes darting around the room. You know, I've always wondered what you got up to in here. I forced a laugh, feeling my nerves jangle. Not much, really. Just, relaxing. Emily's gaze fell to my half-tucked sweater. That's an interesting look. I felt my face flush. Yeah, well, it's comfortable. She smiled, reaching out to tuck a stray lock of hair behind my ear. It suits you. I held my breath as her fingers brushed my cheek, her touch sending a shiver down my spine. Thanks, I murmured, my voice hoarse. Emily's gaze held mine, a knowing look in her eyes. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. No judgment. I nodded, my throat feeling tight. I know. Thanks, Em. She stood, pressing a quick kiss to my cheek. Good night, babe. Night, I whispered, my heart pounding as I listened to her footsteps retreating down the hall. The following Saturday, Jamie and I were playing catch in the backyard, the crisp autumn air carrying a hint of an oncoming winter. Dad, why do you always wear jeans and sweaters? Jamie asked, chasing after the ball I'd just thrown. I paused, considering my response. Well, buddy, they're comfortable. Why? Jamie shrugged, tossing the ball back to me. I don't know. Mommy wears dresses sometimes. Why don't you? I caught the ball, my mind racing. Good question, champ. I guess I just like these better. Oh. Jamie looked thoughtful for a moment, then grinned. Want to race to the tree and back? I laughed, relieved at the change of subject. You're on, kiddo! We took off running, the cool grass tickling our legs as we dashed toward the old oak tree at the edge of the yard. Jamie beat me by a hair, his small legs pumping furiously. As we collapsed onto the grass, breathing heavily, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I knew this curiosity was just the beginning, but in that moment, I felt grateful for my son's understanding and acceptance. Later that night, after Jamie was asleep, I found Emily in the kitchen, a glass of wine in her hand as she stared out the window into the moonlit garden. I stepped up behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist. What you thinking about? She turned in my embrace, her eyes searching mine. About you, this thing you do. I held her close, resting my chin on her head. It's okay, Em. You don't have to worry about it. She pulled back, her brows furrowed. I can't help but worry. You keep this part of yourself so hidden. It makes me wonder why. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. It's not that I want to hide it from you, specifically. It's just, I don't know. I'm not ready to share it with the world yet. Emily's eyes softened. I understand. But I want you to know that you don't have to hide it from me. I won't judge. Whatever it is, we can face it together. I felt my throat tighten as I pulled her close again. Thanks, Em. That means a lot. She snuggled into my embrace, her whine forgotten. We're a team, remember? Always. I held her tight, feeling a surge of gratitude for her unconditional love and support. The next morning, Emily and I were drinking coffee at the kitchen island while Jamie built a fortress with his blocks. You know, I began, setting down my mug. I've been thinking maybe it's time I tried something new. Emily looked up from her newspaper, her eyes curious. Oh yeah, like what? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. Well, I was thinking maybe I could try wearing a dress, just around the house, to see how it feels. Emily's eyes widened and she sat up straighter. Really? You sure about that? I nodded, my heart pounding. I'm sure. I think I'm ready to take that step. Oh, babe. Emily reached across the island, taking my hand. That's huge. I'm so proud of you. I felt a lump in my throat as I squeezed her hand. Thanks, Em. It means a lot to have your support. Jamie looked up from his blocks, his eyes curious. Dad, are you going to wear a dress like Mommy? I exchanged a glance with Emily before responding. Maybe, Bud. Just for a little while to see how it feels. Oh, cool. Jamie returned to his building, seemingly unbothered by the idea. I released a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. Emily squeezed my hand, her eyes shining with encouragement. That night, after Jamie was asleep, I made my way to our bedroom, my heart pounding with anticipation. Emily followed close behind, a supportive smile on her face. Closing the door gently, I turned to face her, my hands fidgeting with the hem of my sweater. You sure you're okay with this? Emily nodded, her eyes warm. Absolutely. Take your time. I'll be here if you need me. I took a deep breath and headed for the closet. My hands shook as I selected a simple knee-length dress, nothing too flashy. I wanted to feel comfortable, not like I was wearing a costume. As I slipped the dress over my head, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was it. I was finally doing it. I stepped out of the closet, my hands clasped in front of me. Emily's eyes widened and she stood, moving towards me. Wow, she whispered, her eyes shining. You look beautiful. I felt my cheeks burning, a mix of embarrassment and pleasure. Really? You think so? Emily nodded, her eyes never leaving mine. Absolutely, it suits you. I allowed myself a small smile, feeling a surge of gratitude for her acceptance. Thanks, Em. She reached out, taking my hands in hers. You're welcome. Now let's go show off that gorgeous dress. This was really happening. The next day, Emily and I stood in the living room, my hands clasped nervously in front of me. Emily squeezed my hand. You ready? I took a deep breath, steeling myself. As I'll ever be. Let's do it. Together, we walked into the kitchen where Jamie sat at the table, coloring. He looked up as we entered, his eyes wide. Wow, Dad, you look pretty. I felt my face flush with pleasure. Thanks, Bud. You think so? Jamie nodded, his attention already returning to his coloring. Yep. Can I have more orange juice, please? I laughed, the tension draining from my body. Of course, kiddo. As I poured the juice, Emily wrapped an arm around my waist, pressing a kiss to my cheek. I'm so proud of you, she whispered. I leaned into her touch, my heart full. Thanks, Em. I couldn't have done it without you. She smiled, her eyes shining with love and support. Anytime, babe. We're in this together. I squeezed her hand, feeling truly blessed. Over the next few months, I gradually began to embrace my feminine side more openly. I experimented with different outfits, hairstyles, and even tried out a few different names. With each step, I felt a sense of relief, as if a weight was being lifted from my shoulders. One afternoon, as I was trying on a new dress, a soft, flowy number that made me feel utterly feminine, Jamie wandered into the room. "Dad, that's a pretty dress," he remarked, climbing onto the bed to sit beside me. I smiled, feeling a surge of affection for my open-minded son. "Thanks, kiddo. You think so?" He nodded, his eyes serious. "It's my favorite so far. The color's nice." I laughed, running a hand self-consciously through my hair. "Thanks, bud. That means a lot." He grinned, then leaned over to whisper, "You know, Dad, I think you'd make a really great mom." My heart stopped for a moment, his words hitting me like a truck. I forced a smile, my mind racing. "Oh? And why's that, sweetheart?" Jamie shrugged, his eyes thoughtful. "I don't know. You're really good at taking care of us, and you always make sure we have fun. That's what moms do, right?" I felt my eyes sting with unexpected tears. "Yeah, bud, that's what moms do." He climbed off the bed, ready to resume his play. "Can we have pizza for dinner, please?" I laughed, dabbing at my eyes. "We'll see, kiddo. Go wash your hands for dinner." "Okay." He ran off, leaving me sitting there, my heart full to bursting. I watched as Jamie bolted out of the room, his small frame disappearing around the corner. My hand flew to my chest, my heart swelling with a mix of emotions. I felt incredibly touched by his words and the depth of his understanding. "Everything okay in here?" Emily's voice startled me as she poked her head into the room. "Yeah," I murmured, quickly wiping away the remnants of tears. "Fine, just, a dad moment." She smiled, stepping into the room and closing the door behind her. "I heard, and I have to say I couldn't agree more with our little guy." I felt my cheeks warming at her words. "Really? You think so?" Emily walked over and sat beside me on the bed, taking my hand. "Absolutely. You've always had this incredible nurturing spirit, and now you're finally embracing it fully. It's beautiful to watch." I brought her hand to my lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "Thank you, Em. That means the world to me." She squeezed my hand. "You're welcome, and I know it hasn't been easy for you, but I'm here for you every step of the way." I leaned over, pressing my forehead to hers. "I love you so damn much. I love you too," she whispered, her eyes shining with a mix of affection and determination. "Now, let's go tackle bedtime with our little hurricane." "Right behind you," I said, feeling a surge of gratitude for her unwavering support. The following Saturday, we decided to take Jamie to the park for a family outing. It was a sunny autumn day, the air crisp and invigorating. I opted for a casual outfit, jeans, a cozy sweater, and a beanie to hide my longer locks. As we entered the park, I felt a buzz of anticipation. This would be the first time I'd truly be out in public, embracing my true self. I held Emily's hand tightly, drawing strength from her presence. Jamie ran ahead, his small body a blur of energy as he darted towards the playground. I watched him climb the jungle gym, his laughter ringing through the air. I turned to Emily, my eyes softening at the sight of our son's unbridled joy. "He's having a blast," she smiled, squeezing my hand. "He sure is, and he's got the best parents in the world to support him no matter what." I felt my throat tighten at her words. "Thanks to you, Em. You've been my rock through all of this." She leaned over, pressing a quick kiss to my cheek. "We're a team, remember?" I nodded, my heart full as I watched Jamie zoom down the slide, his face alight with excitement. As we strolled through the park, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The sun shone on my face, and the wind played with the hem of my sweater. I chatted with Emily, occasionally pausing to point out a bird or squirrel to Jamie. It was a perfect moment, one I wanted to freeze and hold on to forever. "Hey, Mom, Dad, look!" Jamie called out, running towards us. "I found a ladybug." We smiled as he held out his tiny palm, revealing a tiny, vibrant red ladybug crawling over his skin. "That's amazing, bud!" I exclaimed, crouching down to get a better look. "Ladybugs are supposed to bring good luck, you know?" Jamie's eyes widened. "Really? Cool!" I laughed, standing up and ruffling his hair. Yep, so keep an eye out for more ladybugs, okay? Okay, Dad. He took off running again, his eyes scanning the grass for more tiny creatures. I straightened, my eyes meeting Emily's. She smiled, her eyes warm. He's right, you know. You are an incredible mom. My heart skipped a beat at her words, and I felt a rush of emotions wash over me. Thanks, Em. Coming from you, that means everything. She stepped closer, wrapping her arms around me. Anytime, babe. Now let's go find some more ladybugs. I returned her embrace, my heart overflowing with gratitude and love. Let's do it. The following week, Emily and I were in the kitchen preparing dinner while Jamie worked on his homework at the table. Dad, can I ask you something? Jamie's small voice piped up, his head bent over his math worksheet. Of course, bud. What's up? I replied, chopping vegetables for a salad. Well, he began, his voice tentative. Why do you and Mom call each other babe? I smiled at his curious mind, always processing and questioning the world around him. That's a good question, Jamie. It's just, a term of endearment, like when I call you buddy or champ. Oh, he said, seeming to consider this. So it's like a nickname? Exactly, Emily chimed in, stirring a pot of pasta on the stove. It's just a special way for us to show how much we care about each other. Jamie nodded, his brows furrowed in concentration as he returned to his math problems. I exchanged a smile with Emily, grateful for her support and understanding as we navigated this unique family dynamic. Dinner that night was a lively affair, with Jamie regaling us with stories from school and his latest soccer practice. His laughter filled the room as he mimed a particularly impressive goal he'd scored. As we cleared the dishes, Emily leaned over and whispered in my ear, I signed us up for the PTA meeting tomorrow night. I paused, mid-stack of plates. Oh, did you? Should be interesting. She winked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I thought it might be time for your first public appearances yourself. My heart raced at the thought. While I'd grown more comfortable in my skin, the idea of facing a room full of parents and teachers sent a jolt of anxiety through me. You sure about that, Em? She nodded, her expression determined. I am, and I'll be right there by your side. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. Okay, let's do it. The next evening, as we drove to the school, my palms began to sweat and my heart pounded in my chest. I felt like an actor about to step onto the stage, filled with a mix of excitement and nerves. You okay? Emily asked, glancing over at me from the driver's seat. I forced a smile, my voice wavering only slightly. Yeah, just, a few jitters. She reached over, squeezing my knee. It's totally normal to feel nervous, but I promise, once we're there, you'll feel right at home. I nodded, my throat feeling tight as I tried to quell the sudden wave of doubt washing over me. We parked the car and made our way towards the school, Jamie running ahead, his book bag bouncing on his back. The PTA meeting was held in the school's multipurpose room, a large space filled with rows of chairs and a central table for presentations. Parents milled about, chatting and catching up, while teachers circulated with cups of coffee. I stayed close to Emily's side as we entered, feeling a surge of relief when a few parents greeted us with friendly smiles and waves. Jamie ran off to join his classmates, leaving Emily and me to find seats. I scanned the room, noticing a few curious glances in our direction, but most people seemed engrossed in their own conversations. I exhaled slowly, beginning to relax. The meeting began, and the principal, Miss Garcia, took the floor. She welcomed everyone and began discussing the upcoming holiday events and fundraising initiatives. My nerves began to settle as the familiar routine of school functions took over. About halfway through the meeting, a commotion at the back of the room caught my attention. Whispers spread like wildfire as heads turned towards the doorway. I craned my neck to see what the fuss was about and felt my heart drop. Standing in the doorway was Ava, Jamie's best friend from kindergarten, along with her mother, Sarah. It had been a while since we'd seen them, and the surprise of their presence threw me off balance. Emily noticed my reaction and squeezed my hand under the table. I offered her a weak smile, my mind racing. Ava and Sarah represented a past I'd carefully tucked away, a time when I'd presented as a typical dad, a role that now felt constrictive and false. "Hi, everyone," Miss Garcia said, approaching the new arrivals. "Welcome. Please, take a seat." Ava and Sarah made their way towards the front, eventually stopping by our row to say hello. My heart hammered in my chest as I forced a smile, hoping to mask my unease. "Hi," Sarah said, her eyes widening as she took in my appearance. "I didn't realize you'd be here." "Hey, Sarah," Emily replied smoothly, standing to give her a hug. "Great to see you. It's been a while." "It has," she agreed, her eyes flicking back and forth between Emily and me. "You two are looking well." I nodded, feeling painfully aware of my sweater-clad arms and the soft waves of my hair. "Thanks. You too." As the meeting drew to a close, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I'd done it. I'd faced my fear and presented myself authentically to the world. It was a small step, but it felt momentous, and the feeling of liberation was indescribable. Emily slipped her hand into mine as we stood to leave, giving it a gentle squeeze. "You did great, babe." I smiled at her, my heart full. "Thanks to you. I couldn't have done it without your encouragement." She winked. "Anytime. Now, let's go celebrate with some ice cream." "Ice cream?" Jamie chimed in, appearing at our sides. "Can we, Mom? Please?" Emily and I exchanged a smile, knowing we never could resist our son's pleading eyes. "Of course, bud," I replied, tousling his hair. "Let's go." Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.